listening to the Shite Talk podcast show. Shut up and sit down.
I'm McConaughey, wet dream, a girl who is too hot for Tinder. I know when I was on the app, that's how I got myself as well. You definitely right for that. Welcome once again to the Shite Talk podcast show. Mark and Ken.
What's up?
Episode 208 of the Shite Talk podcast show.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get the 306.
The 306. Was it? I don't know. Was it 306 or was it 308? I think it was 308.
Whatever.
I think you just doubled. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not going to decide right now anyway.
We won't be doing anything for it.
Yeah. Because last celebration episode I don't know if it went well or not.
It was okay.
I wonder. I haven't heard anybody's reaction. People are like, well, this is what do we expect?
Yeah, what did we expect? People were let down, and
yeah,
it lived up to nobody's expectations.
Anything strange with you, anyway?
No.
Yeah, no. It's just another day, really.
Yeah.
We're
kind of going to go back to normal soon.
Yeah, that's really good. All the restrictions the government getting up. People are like, oh, what was the point? It's like, well, this is the point that we can go back to normal. Like, we wouldn't be able to go back to normal. They didn't just plan, or they're going to reopen things on October if people didn't get vaccinated. This is the reason why we can go back to normal.
Like, I kind of see some logic behind what is the point. Like, from October, you're not going to need your COVID cert anymore.
Well, the idea is you're getting it to protect yourself to stop the spread of COVID-19. So, like, people who have the vaccine are less likely to spread it and less likely to get it. So, if high numbers of the population are vaccinated, like 90%, then the virus isn't going to spread as much. And that's the whole idea. Well, now we can actually just get rid of needing a vaccine cert indoors because so many people are vaccinated, and then how many people who aren't vaccinated have got COVID and can probably go dine indoors for the next few months anyway. Like I say, many people in Ireland that have antibodies are possibly very, very close to nearly 100%. If we have 90% in the adult population, if we have 90% vaccinated, and 80% of people that are in hospitals now are unvaccinated. You imagine many people who have antibodies in the adult population should be close to 100%.
I think it's mad because you're going to get people that are going to be going, you see my conspiracy theory is not a conspiracy.
No, the whole thing was they're going to lock us up forever and throw away the key.
Yeah, but it was also that the more we resist, the less they can lock us up for.
But they didn't resist. This has been a phased reopening.
Yeah, but there's no reason it's stupid.
Yeah, there is no reason why it's stupid. All their arguments can be easily debuffed with easy logic. And talking about that, we'll be talking about a person who's probably been at the forefront, probably the most famous person who's been against, or maybe not against the vaccine, but just hasn't decided to get it. Maybe questioning Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He made the news last week when he came out and said he had COVID-19. Previously, he's kind of stated that he thinks he might be immune. He might be all his vitamins and his exercise and his saunas might have mean that like he can't get COVID because he's been in situations before where people had COVID and he didn't get it. And he's been like, I'm immune. My vitamins work. And then he got COVID and got pretty sick. Got better pretty quickly. And then people were criticizing his method of getting better. It's like, did he get better or not? It was kind of mad.
Yeah, he was taking horse dewormer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's taking like a cocktail of stuff. So yeah, I thought we might as well jump on bandwagon. And since he's a very polarizing figure and people generally click on stuff that people talk about, we just jump on the bandwagon. We join that crusade. And then Reddit. There's a cop on Reddit, and he's talking about laws he doesn't agree with. So we're going to go through maybe the law he doesn't agree with, as well as laws we think. I'm going to tell you what I think should be against the law. Ken's going to maybe have one or two things that he thinks he doesn't agree that it shouldn't be illegal. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about laws. We'll also be talking about driving tests and driving in general and parallel parking.
Driving tests should be illegal.
Driving tests, yeah. Ken thinks driving tests should be illegal. And we're talking about parallel parking and all these other driving annoyances that people face on a daily basis.
The whole podcast we had there with stuff that annoys you with driving.
Yeah, we could literally fill it now. Noah grinds our gears about driving. We'll also be talking about a guitar streaming site that's going to be basically, if you have a favorite artist, you could learn how to play piano by Elton John, or by a guitar by Metallica, or ukulele by Jason Mraz, because they have signed several artists up to basically give online guitar lessons, and one of them is Metallica, and Jason Mraz is going to teach a tutorial on how to play the ukulele. So that's pretty cool. What do you think of that, Ken?
Yeah, it depends on, like, are they going to be teaching you actual basics, or do you already need basics and they're going to just teach you a specific song?
I imagine that if Metallica is teaching you a song, that you know how to play a song, and they're going to be teaching you maybe how to play a style that they are familiar with. So this is for musicians to learn off a person. So like if you're a very novice, you probably should go to like a guitar lessons. But if you know how to play the guitar, but you just want to maybe pick up some finer details, you know how like jiu-jitsu instructionals are quite popular. Think of this as like a jiu-jitsu instructional. You're going to need to know how to do jiu-jitsu, but like even like you'll probably learn something from them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Would this be something that, like, you're play guitar all your life nearly? Would you be something like, oh, I'm gonna actually maybe look into this?
I don't think so.
All right, why not?
Because like I think the way that I was taught guitar was that my guitar teacher taught me to teach myself. So he taught me everything that I need to know to understand how to actually learn songs. So like I'm not going to need, even though like the role, like I'm not going to need James Hetfield to teach me how to play Enter Sandman.
Yeah, but I think it's the novelty of having James Hetfield teach you.
You're probably looking at like fucking 200, 300, 400, 500 quid for it.
Yeah, I like the way I think the sharing thing is they get percentage of the money per stream, and that's how it works. Oh well, yeah. Do you know, like if I was a piano player, or if I played the piano, or I was in a band, and I had the opportunity to learn off Elton John, I'd probably take that. Or if or any other musician, or pick a songwriter that you admire. If someone sat me down and gone, this is how I write songs. Here's my structure. Here's a few good tips on how to write songs, and off you go. I think there'd be musicians out there that would grab that with both hands.
Like if it was a personalized one-on-one lesson, yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Imagine this is going to be like a Zoom thing. There's going to be like 200
yeah,
people.
like it's going to be like pre-recorded fucking whatever.
I don't know if it'll be pre-recorded. I imagine there has to be some form of like Q&A. But anyway, there isn't a whole lot of details. So if we hear on it more, we'll let people know. I think it's a good idea. Ken thinks it's a pile shy.
No, it's a good idea, but like I personally wouldn't go for it.
Yeah, and then we're going to talk about bad tattoos. Have you any tattoos that you regret, Ken?
Not really regret. I don't know if we ever talked about this before. I do have one that I had covered up.
Yeah. What was it? I don't think we have.
It was, I have a snake on my forearm, and I just got it covered up with a better version of it. I had a shittier version of it before.
Yeah.
My very, very first tattoo was Shite, and I got it kind of updated.
All right. Well, I don't have any tattoos I regret. I've kind of tattoos I wanted added onto. So there's certain things I just wanted either joined, and right now I feel like they just look unfinished. But other than that, there's none that I'd cover up.
In your sleeve or your leg?
My leg. I have I have a phoenix. And do you know these are kind of tattoos that are kind of back in the day. They're very stereotypical of tattoos. Like tattoos come in trends, and I have a tattoo on one of my leg that is I'm very stereotypical of having this now tattooed on my leg. It's like one is a phoenix and the other is a koi dragon. So it's like the koi swims up the river, and then when it reaches the top of the river, it turns into a dragon. It's a very douchey thing. But your man who drew the koi dragon was just like, I'm going to draw this such a way that like you can possibly add on to it later on. I'm going to draw like ever see like a old map and there's like showing where sea monsters were. So I want I want a map with a compass that surrounds the phoenix and the koi dragon. They built them in like as if they were monsters on a map. There's thing, but like. Yeah, that's the only thing I'd add on to it. I think they both look good. I don't really see them until the summer a lot of times, so they look pretty fresh. They're like the colors are really nice on them because my legs just say covered pretty all the time. So like this is like that's the only thing. I'd probably just want to add on to tattoos. Anyway, we might as well get into it, and we'll start off with Joe Rogan and him getting COVID.
Yeah, the bastard.
Well, see, what I don't get is people were so quick was like the judge first of all him getting COVID because he wasn't vaccinated, saying, "See, look at now you have COVID," almost wishing that he suffers because he didn't get vaccinated.
I see like loads of people that were like, "Oh, I hope he dies," or "I hope he gets really sick and stuff."
Yeah, because at the end, I think we know people who've been vaccinated who've got COVID and gotten sick. It's like so like you can get sick even if you're vaccinated or not. Oh, obviously the vaccine helps if you're not vaccinated. You mightn't have a defense against it. For the like this shit on a person for getting COVID, like I thought that was just like just because he came out against the vaccine. It's like, all right, well maybe he'll learn his lesson and get vaccinated after this. I doubt he will, but like, who's it to you? How is this affecting your life?
Yeah, like I don't know, people are just fucking assholes. Like that's one thing that I've learned through this pandemic. I always knew people were assholes, but people are proper assholes.
People are very tribal. I think we've learned this. We should have known this already. People are quite tribal, and people very quickly went on to pro-vaccine side, anti-vaccine side, and you've seen this like split between families, where families would have like huge falling out over this, and like it's most mundane. Like realistically, it's like who cares? Like who realistically cares? If you are against the vaccine and you get COVID, well, that's on you what happens to you. And if you infect anybody, that's your responsibility and you have to own what you've done to that person. If you get vaccinated, well done for you. But you should be doing it for you. You shouldn't be doing it for like so you can look down on somebody. I think if you get vaccinated so you can just look down on people and you can criticize people because their choices, they're also kind of shitty.
Yeah, you're a bit of an asshole though.
The only time I really criticize people was when they come out and they try to argue against me with absolutely no logic or fact. If someone goes, if someone comes to me and goes, "Oh, I'm not getting a vaccine because it's this," then I'll go, "Oh, well, where did you read that?" Or "Where's the evidence for that?" If someone starts to say like get into an argument with me over the validity of the vaccine or the reality of COVID, I'll come with them with so much information, and if they don't have any information, I'm going to criticize them about not having information. But in terms of they just go, I'm not going to criticize them for not getting vaccinated. Just say, I'm not getting vaccinated, I don't want it. Don't try to have a discussion with me because your logic is stupid.
Like I know people like personally that didn't get vaccinated, aren't going to get vaccinated, are against the vaccine, and they fall into two camps. So some of them I have no problem with. They're just kind of like, just it's not for me. I'm not going to get it. No, like maybe I'm hesitant to get it. I want to wait for whatever a year or whatever and see what happens.
Yeah.
Fair enough, whatever. And then there's the other group that are like, well, I read on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay, there's your problem.
I have a person who's a doctor and he says this, or I know a person who says
What's
this.
your doctor? He's a doctor in sports science. Okay, yeah. Definitely listen to him.
Yeah, definitely listen to him. Or I'm gonna actually trust my own immune system. All right, how does your immune system work?
Yeah. How's your immune system hold up against polio there?
Yeah, so like it's that when they don't, they started to say, "Oh, this is why you don't need it." Then I go, "Well, this is why you do need it." And here's what I've read on it. What have you read on it?
Let's just look at the history of vaccines.
Let's look where you got your information. Oh, you don't know where you got your information. You just heard it.
Yeah, your information came from covidisn'treal.com. Really?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I was like, I remember someone said to me about they're criticizing that the RT wasn't showing a protest with 1 million people or some ridiculous. Or London, it was in London. There was 1 million people protesting, and I was like, where was this? And it's like, I seen it online somewhere. And I was like, all right. So it's like, protesting, 1 million people protesting in London. And then there was a website called 1 million people protesting London.com. So that came up first. But there's no other information. There's nothing about any protests. Or I remember they were like, a video of, remember when the guard got the firework into the face?
Yeah.
I seen go around quite quickly online that there was a guard holding a firework, and it was a plant.
I've seen that, yeah, and
it was such a bad Photoshop, but there were still people fucking sharing it, and it's just because they were in that camp, and they were like, "Oh, look at this! I have to share everything from this camp." It's just silly. It's just kind of, but then, on the same side of like the people who are vaccinated and who are that, there are the ones who just want to criticize anybody and any kind of alternative treatment to cure people of COVID. Even if it works, it has to be criticized, because like Joe Rogan got COVID and within 3 days he was back to normal, and people like criticized him for all of his experimental treatments that he did. And it's like, hold on, he doesn't have COVID, and he had a fever there. Like, he went from having a fever to being negative for COVID-19 within 3 days. Let's look at what he took. There might be something in there. And
he did take though
antibodies.
But that fucking horse dewormer thing that he took, there was a study done on that in Africa where they had people, and it makes you infertile.
I think if you're taking, I don't know, but I haven't heard of infertile done. I know the studies that have come up in Iran and where it has been criticized in terms of like they aren't scientific studies or they're not proper, but there were like correlation studies to show that like time spent in hospital decreased when people were on ivermectin, and there was like correlation evidence. There's like correlation evidence that can be used, but it hasn't been proven. There's like huge trial going on right now, double-blind placebo trial, which is like the gold standard for medicine. And they're going to look at that if it's actually a viable drug to be used. But they're also looking at like an arthritis drug for that. And I think that's just being approved. So there are drugs coming along that will help people be cured of like COVID-19. But like like in very small doses, it's given to people already. And in very small doses, there's nothing wrong with it. Like if you just take what the recommended allowance for it is, and it's not the animal grade ones. The only problems that people are taking 5 times the fucking strength that's actually recommended, or using paste that has it in it, and they're made for cows or horses and getting poisoned. That's where people are coming into problems with it.
Yeah.
But imagine Joe Rogan wasn't doing that, and he took like these antibodies as well, and these antibodies have been proven to like reduce time spent in COVID-19. Basically, if your body's not producing antibodies, you can now get artificial antibodies which they inject into you. And that's what he took with like a load of vitamins and a load of other things and ivermectin. And within 3 days, he was fine. So I don't see why people are like, oh, that's really interesting that he cured himself of COVID-19 within a short amount of time. But they're trying to focus on the ivermectin and not the artificial antibodies he also took. They kind of brush over that, and it seems to be this war on if ivermectin should be used or not, or like if you mentioned it, like any of the studies that show any sort of like evidence towards ivermectin being a viable drug to be used, since it's only like 15 cents by ivermectin, so it's incredibly cheap to be made. So like for poor countries, it could be a viable drug if there was evidence towards it. But people are like, no, he took ivermectin, he's a tinfoil hatter, he's a fucking piece of shit. And it's just like, okay, but is he better now?
Yeah, that's the one that like it's a study in Nigeria. Stephen Keston shared it on Instagram. Like they studied that in Australia or in Nigeria. They gave it to 28 to 57-year-olds, and they found that it basically just kills sperm.
All right. Well, yeah, they don't
That
really
was
know
one of
the
the side effects of taking it, was that it just like it kills sperm, which is kind of funny because that's one of the things that some people who are against the vaccine say they're not going to take the vaccine because it makes you infertile.
Yeah, like I haven't heard about the it makes you infertile thing, but people are given ivermectin, but it's only for like 2 days. Like, so there's no like long-term studies on long-term use of ivermectin. It's not really tested drug. But in saying that, if you have COVID-19 and you're currently going into a fever, and like once this disease progresses into your lungs, you're kind of fucked. It's like the horse is bolted right now. So anything that might help at that stage, you might as well give it a shot. And there has been some correlation that ivermectin does work reducing this stay in the hospital. So like for him, he was like, oh shit, let's show everything we possibly can have. If it might help, let's take it. And I think that was his approach. And they give it. Did they give it to Donald Trump ivermectin, or was that the other one?
No, it was the other one. Was the other one?
I don't know what the other one was.
He was taking. I can't remember what the fuck.
Yeah, there's another drug that was also changing. But like, okay, he's better now. We should be looking at like, okay, what helped there? Was it the antibodies? Was it the ivermectin? Was it the mixture of ivermectin? Did the vitamin V pack that he got, did that help? Did the other thing that he got injected into himself, did that help? Because he took a lot of shit. And we should be like, okay, why did he get better so quick? Was it just his own immune system? Or was it the drug? And if there was the drugs, what combination helped? Instead of criticizing him, we should be looking into it. And all people are doing is like just shitting on him over. It just shows how tribal people are still about the whole COVID thing. Yeah, so I don't know. We don't have to worry. We're vaccinated. I'll take the arthritis medication because that's been proved.
Yeah, arthritis medication.
Yeah, I don't know. I was listening to Luke O'Neill, and they're saying that it's past the double-blind placebo thingy, and that like because of COVID, basically is an inflammation disease. Gets inflammation in your lungs, and that's what this arthritis medication is used for, and it seems to reduce inflammation in, I don't know. I wasn't listening too heavily to what he was saying, but yeah.
It done something. I wasn't listening.
But like, I kind of feel like the way they treat you in America and the way they treat you over here, like over here, it's listen to your doctor. Whatever your doctor gets, you're getting. You're not going to have a choice. You're not a medical expert. We're going to give you. Whereas over in America, you're kind of like, well, I want to actually take this ivermectin. And the doctor's like, okay, if you want to take it, here it is.
It's I don't know.
I think
America is fucking every sort of crackpot over there. Like,
because I was listening to Tim Dillon, and he got the antibody things. He got those injected. He was vaccinated as well when he got COVID, and they were like, okay, we're not taking any chances with you. So they gave him the antibodies, and then the doctor was like, watch this video about ivermectin. And it was basically, it was on some weird website. It was like, it looked like a conspiracy type website. And he was like, listen to this. We can give it to you if you want this. I'm not recommending it. Like kind of obviously because of legal things. If the patient says I want ivermectin, I think some doctors in places are like, here it is. Well, it has to come from they're not going to subscribe it to them. I think that's a bit weird.
Like, I don't know.
All right. We'll move on to Cops. So Cop did a Q&A, and he's like, people are like, ask me anything. I believe in open dialogue between the public and also anything you want to know about being a cop or laws or anything like this, feel free. And then a lot of people just abuse them, like in terms of like, what's your favorite donut, blah blah blah. And there's probably something about shooting black people since he's a cop in America. But so after all that, there was actually one person who actually wanted to know: is there any laws that you don't think should be a thing, but you have to enforce them because they're law and it's your job? And he's like, yeah, marijuana use. I think personal marijuana use I think it should be legalized by now. He says, I don't really get why people smoke it and drive in a car because like they're going to be pulled over. They should just smoke it in their house and not do it like in public where they can be arrested. But he was kind of like, yeah, I personally think it should be handled like alcohol. As long as you're not doing anything dumb with it, you should be able to do it.
Aidan was telling me there was a guard in with them during the week, and he was saying he doesn't agree with speeding laws.
Yeah, a lot of guards don't. I was working with a guy, and his dad is a guard, and his dad was teaching him to drive, and he's teaching him to like fucking drive really like aggressively, like as if he's like doing the tactical driving course, even though his son was just learning how to drive.
Yeah,
yeah, and like he's like his dad like would almost nearly let a person go if you're going 140. You often see him fucking flying down the road anyway. So, is there any laws that you would be like, oh, I agree with this, or I disagree with this, or I think this should be a thing?
Not really. Like, I don't really give a shit.
I personally think all drugs should be legalized, and like, I know a lot of people disagree with me about this. A lot of people go, well, no, it definitely shouldn't be. Like, you shouldn't be able to buy heroin over the counter top. But I think if it was regulated in such a way where you can't go into a centre and buy heroin, but like you can, like, there's a facility you can go to do heroin that you're not going to be criticised because you're addicted to heroin.
They've got them up in town now.
Yeah, they have injection centres, but it's kind of a failed project. First of all, they seem to love putting them beside schools, and a lot of the injection centres are beside schools. And instead of like supplying the heroin, the people who are addicted to heroin, I'm trying to be better. People who are addicted to heroin with heroin, instead they make them go buy it illegally because they don't be fucking taking any money off the streets. And so so you have like fucking drug dealers like sitting outside these injection centers ready to sell these patients heroin so they can go and inject it in the injection center. Instead of the injection centers just supplying them with fucking heroin. So then the like junkies are like, oh, while we're here, we might as well sell to these kids as well. And like, so you have like parents like not liking like that there's drug dealers like hanging around schools, which is like, okay, it's a fair criticism. And like one of these injection centers shut down because of that. So it's like this was a half-thought idea.
Like, you'd probably, if injection centers were supplying people with heroin, they'd probably always be getting like fucking robbed and stabbed and.
Not really. Like, you could have that they have is in a very secure part of the building. There's only a limited amount of heroin kept there a day, and that there's security on the building. And remember, the people who'd break in steal heroin.
On the building, you're going to have to not only have security on the building, you're going to have like guards on the building.
Yeah,
because you're not like it's not going to be the junkies that are going to be breaking in.
Yeah, I guess drug dealers might try to steal.
It's going to be drug gangs that are breaking in.
Yeah, but you just have guards on the building or have it beside near a guard.
But that's a waste of guard of time.
Well, you could have the building that's hard to get into, that like a person is going to have to break into it, and then the guards can respond to it. So, like you're not gonna stick guards there, but it's retarded not having it to the point where junkies have to go buy the heroin off the drug dealers, and on their way, if a guard pulls up and sees them like buying heroin, both of them will be arrested, and he won't be able to go into the injection center because he's just being caught.
So then you don't need to legalize it; you need to decriminalize it.
Well, you legalize it with a license. You have to have a license to sell it.
So you
have to have a facility to sell it in, and the facility have to have a certain amount of security. Have to have a safe place. Have a lab to test to see if the heroin's safe, and have to come from a reputable source. Can't come from the streets.
Yeah, that's decriminalized. It's not legal.
Well, yeah. Well, I think even still, if someone's is having heroin at their house and they're not hurting anybody, what's the problem with this?
Yeah, that's still decriminalized.
Yeah,
like legalized, would mean that literally you're a drug dealer that's going around there like fucking baiting people and stuff. He's all right.
Well, no,
It's
you
the only
wouldn't.
thing to blame for is
The
assault.
whole baiting people would be still illegal.
Yeah, like the only thing you can get him for is assault, but sure, he'll be out in 3 months.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like in terms of all drugs, we could have.
Whereas if you decriminalize it, the addict doesn't get penalized for having it or for doing it, but the dealer gets done for dealing it.
Well, I think as long as they have a license, like the same with cocaine or anything like that. Like if you have a reputable source that, like, if anything's wrong with cocaine, you can bring them to court or
Like,
it can be sued instead of having it underground.
You know, like states in America where like weed is decriminalized. It's not legal; it's decriminalized.
Well, you can buy weed in shops, so
yeah, but it's decriminalized. Like it's still illegal to illegally be dealing in weed.
All right, so you can buy it off the streets.
You can't buy it off a drug dealer, but you can buy it off like a chemist.
All right, so it's licensed. Like that means alcohol is decriminalized.
Yeah, the same as alcohol is. Yeah, alcohol is decriminalized, but butching's still illegal.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, so there's stuff like that. I think should happen. I think all drugs should be manner of people should be able to do drugs, but here's the circumstances you can't do it. Like, or here's the problems you'll run into if you try to do them in a public place. Like, I don't think people should be able to do DMT and get into a car. I think it should be done in like a facility.
I agree with your kind of point.
Yeah. So stuff like that, like I think should be illegal, or it should be.
It's the finer details you don't have. You don't have the finer details.
What do you mean?
You don't have the finer details about it.
About what?
You need to come up with a better plan.
What do you mean?
Like, it's an okay plan at the minute, but it needs to be perfect.
Well, you think buying heroin off drug dealers should be, apart from like a place supplying it? Like, if you get into, we already have centers that supply methadone to people, and they're not regularly attacked by drug dealers. So, like, I don't see why an injection center, if it supplied heroin, would be either, because the building's very hard to get into anyway. And if they got a call from the guards, I'm pretty sure armed response unit could be able to come in a matter of minutes or hours, because it's the Gardaí.
Hours.
Because it's the Gardaí. Let's face it is the Gardaí, and there's cameras all over the place. Anyway, there's cameras going to be in the hallways, so you're going to get like
armed response are fairly good at responding.
Oh yeah, well, if something serious, they'll probably respond a little bit quicker. But like in terms of like methadone clinics aren't being regularly raided by some fucking Kinnigan gang. So like I think we can probably supply them with heroin without having like.
You see, then you've got the problem though as well, that the taxpayer is going to be like, why am I paying for heroin for heroin addicts?
Well, you pay for heroin every time you break your fucking arm. Realistically, that's fucking what painkillers are. That's every time you have a sore back, you go to fucking buy like tablets of heroin in the shops. That's why fucking America has an opium crisis on their hands. Not because fucking they've world class drug dealers. It's because fucking they've
got an opium crisis on their hands because they make it too easy to get.
Yeah, exactly, because of painkillers. So like
it needs to be like prescription here. Opioids are prescription.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So like that's what your taxpayers are paying money for. You already pay for fucking opioids. What's the difference because to get a person off addiction of opioids or help them get back on track? And it's the difference between fucking a person with a sore back so they can get back to work. You know what I think should be legal though?
Go on.
I think playing your music on a bus should be fined. And I don't think you should go to prison. I don't think you should be in a cell.
Bus driver would fuck you off the bus sometimes.
So he's fucking should become a fine, because like if you ever be on a bus and people are playing music.
Again, though, you're kind of relying on somebody to enforce it.
The bus driver. If bus companies could be fined for having noise pollution. Do you have any things that annoy you that you think should be against the law?
Loads
cyclists,
of stuff.
Yeah, cyclists cycling 2 or 3 abreast, illegal.
Yeah, like most of the stuff that annoys me is illegal. People just do it anyway.
Yeah, stopping car to have a chat and blocking the road happens an awful lot in Naas.
Yeah,
automatic.
Like, I just hate
6-month driving ban.
There's a guy that he doesn't even live in my estate. He lives like in a house beside the entrance to the estate, and he parks his van in the estate, but he parks it right at the stop sign that's at the entrance of the estate. So, like, to leave my estate, you have to go onto the opposite side of the road, stop at a junction, and hope that there's nobody coming. But cars that are coming from, you're okay if you're coming from the left. Cars that are coming from the right can't see around that corner before they turn it if they're turning into the estate. So sooner or later, somebody's going to crash.
Yeah, like, it's just because of that dickhead.
Yeah, like, that guy should be shot with balls of his own shite.
Yeah, but I imagine, like, if you have to enforce these laws, it must come a really big pain in that hole. Or I wonder if there's anything that, like, are pet peeves for cops that, like, niggly little laws, but, like, they really hate people doing them. Like,
there's a lot of stuff like I know a few guards who will, if they catch you with weed or whatever, they will just kind of take it and say, "Here, look, fuck off."
yeah,
Because it's too much effort to actually do anything about it for, like, something that they don't necessarily think is a big deal. Like, I have a friend who was in a car with 3 other lads, and they were, like, hotboxing the car.
yeah,
And the local guard, a sergeant, knocked on the window of the car. And when they opened up the door, he was obviously hit, like, in the face with a big puff of, like, smoke. And he just told him, he's like, "Will you please go and park somewhere that people aren't ringing me about you?"
yeah. Well, I'd be like, you just can't drive this home, so give me the keys and collect this car at some other point.
Yeah, he was just like, "Just do this somewhere else."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know a guard who caught a person. I think he knew the person, gave them the weed back, and told them to go home and smoke in the house and stop being such an idiot smoking outside across the road from a Garda station.
that is stupid.
In fairness, it was stupid. Like, like they weren't the smartest people in the world. But when it's like, why were you doing that anyway? Like, that should have been obvious. But yeah, I imagine. But I wonder if there's like an iniquity law. Like, you go, oh, why did you have to do that? You know, like jaywalking over here is legal.
Yeah.
It's you can cross road if you want, but over in America it's like against the law. I wonder if there's a cop who hates jaywalkers. There must be like an iniquity law over here.
Well, it's illegal here as well.
Is it?
Yeah, it doesn't get enforced.
There's no sign saying no illegally crossing road.
It's what pedestrian lights are for. It's what pedestrian crossings are for. You know, like,
that's for, like,
crossings.
right away though. That isn't necessarily. I don't think it's against the law over here.
If you look it up,
Google,
is like it's
Google it there.
Yeah, it's an offence to, like, cross the road.
I don't think it is, Ken.
That isn't. I looked this up before.
No. Did you look up on this podcast?
Irish law requires a pedestrian to use pedestrian crossing if they're within 15 metres of one.
Okay.
Crossing the road, pedestrians are advised to wait until it is safe to cross or the lights go green. Vehicles should give way to pedestrians who are using zebra crossings.
That's only if you're within 15 feet of it. So you could argue.
Yeah. No, 50. If you're within 15 meters, that's 49 feet.
All right. So that's, yeah. Well, you
So,
can
like,
argue, like, most places, there's not a pedestrian crossing within that
or, like,
stretch.
there is a pedestrian crossing every 15 meters in Edenderry.
Oh,
and nobody uses them.
yeah. Like, I don't know. There probably is closer to the top of Nace. There's you could argue that you take smaller steps, guard, and that's about 50. That's about 50. That's 50 feet away, guard. So I had to cross. I had to get to the shops there. You know, I have to pick up the kid now.
But, you know, like that's stuff that guards don't enforce.
Yeah, but it's not an iniquity law that they would enforce. But, like, there must be something. I imagine, like, maybe parking up on the curb. Would that piss off people?
That pisses me off.
It just pisses me off.
That's not enforced either.
Yeah.
Like, that annoys me on such a fucking... What if a woman comes along with a buggy, or somebody comes along in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
And they can't use the footpath now because you've parked your fucking Range Rover there, you dickhead.
I was in the shops the other day, and this garage has an ongoing problem. of people parking alongside the shop, to the point where they put cones. They used to have one at the edge of the shop and then one in the middle. And so it's meant to be that people get the idea of like, don't park along the side of here because it's hard to get in and out if you're in a car. So I parked my van into one of the parking spots along the side of it where you're allowed to park, and some guy comes along in a BMW and parks like just after where the cone in the center is. Like, it's still meant to be like, don't park there, but like he's still on along the side of the building, and he still parks there with his kids, leaves his kids in the car and fucks off into the shop. And I was like, oh, there's the fodder of the year anyway. So then a van comes along and parks where the cones are anyway, and there's a van. So I literally just about to leave the garage, and this van comes and parks, blocks me in, and then I'm just like, so there's stuff like that would annoy me. If I was a guard there, I'd wait for that person and I'd fine both of them. Like, I'm fining you for abandoning your vehicle, and I'm fining you for abandoning your kids.
I was in work one day, and this traffic court guard came into the shop, and he started walking around the shop. He's like kind of like being a bit fucking weird. So he was like walking around the shop, staring at everybody. I was like, what the fuck is up with this guy? And eventually he walked up to this guy, and he said to him, do you own the Land Rover? And your man like puts down his little basket, and he's like, yeah. And the guard says to him, where are your kids? And he says, they don't have kids. And he goes, okay, well, the next time you park in the mother and baby spot, you're getting a ticket. Like, he made him actually walk out of the shop and move his car.
Yes, he says stuff like that. I imagine that's some proper guard profiling there, though. Like the point where he could actually go, who owns the Land Rover? And that's it. There's the Land Rover driver, and be able to spot the Land Rover driver and be accurate that is the Land Rover driver.
Yeah,
that's incredible amount of
like,
profiling going on there. Guys get criticized and cops get criticized for like racially profiling, but they're clearly fucking fantastic at it in that sense that they're able to spot out which is the dickhead that parked in the mother and baby spot who drives a Land Rover, and it was like, yeah, that guy, that white arsehole over there.
Yeah, it's definitely that guy.
Yeah, that fucking, what do you call it? White privileged fucker over there. Where you? I made him move it. Oh, that's brilliant. Racial profiling at its best right there. That is incredible amount of skill.
Yeah, like it's just, I don't know.
My dad
maybe he might have seen him maybe getting out of the car. I don't know. Like, he might have seen him.
My dad parked in one. I was in the van. I was 16 at the time. And he was like, parked the van there. And he was like, well, you're technically my kid. I was like, well, technically I am. You're not fully full of secure.
Do you know what? There's two other things that annoy me. People parking in handicap spaces pisses me off.
Oh, that pisses me. I think that pisses pretty much everybody off.
Yeah, that annoys me. And the second one is sometimes as a result of something like that, you get clamped. So now the clamper has created an even bigger problem.
Oh yeah, basically you can now not move from the spot.
Yeah, so like the car is now stuck there.
Yeah, in other countries, instead of clamping, your car gets brought to a compound.
Yeah, like, and you have to pay away.
Yeah, you have to pay for the thing to get released. Yeah, I think it's a far better thing. I think, but like, I don't know where the Irish law would protect the people, the towers. Where if you tow a car away, are you technically stealing that car? And what's the difference between like someone taking a car and bringing it away for a joyride, and then a person just taking the car and just like, oh, well, I'm a company. I know.
I'm assuming you'd probably have to.
There's probably some law legally thing. Like, I'm pretty sure our legal friend would probably be able to point out the differences. But like, if my car got taken away, I'd be like, I'm arguing for he just stole my car. I'm pressing prosecutions between that driver. I don't know if it would just get thrown out of court. It probably would. If
it probably would, because they'd have pictures of you parked in a
handicap spot. Yeah, did have it like a jury would have like full of disabled people going, he's a throw that out, throw him in jail.
Yeah. The judge would be like, this lad's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, in fairness, you would be an asshole. Yeah, so like the other thing we were going to talk about is guitar lessons from musicians.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you'd love to get a private guitar lesson with? Is there anyone you like kind of really admire? And I'd love to be able to sit in the studio with him and riff about guitar stuff.
Is there anybody I would get? Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath.
He only has 2 fingers.
He has 5 fingers. He got the tops of 3 fingers chopped off.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Is he still alive?
Yeah.
For now. So you'd have to get on that pretty quickly.
Yeah, like I'm kind of just going with people that are alive. Like if dead, there's loads.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably loads. I never played the guitar, so I wouldn't waste a musician's time trying to teach. I did play guitar for a bit, but I learned it right-handed way, even though I'm left-handed, because it was just awkward to find.
Me too.
What?
Me too. I'm left-handed, but I play right-handed.
Yeah, so like it took forever to learn. I was like, I'm done with this. So I wouldn't waste like a talented musicians trying to teach me how to play like the chords all over again. It'd be a waste of their time and mine.
Actually, like funny fact, actually, Kirk Hammett from Metallica learned to play off Joe Satriani.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Joe Satriani, I think. Yeah.
That's
Satriani taught Steve Vai and Kirk Hammett how to play guitar.
So, what do you think of this streaming site, like being able to learn off like a musician you really admire?
Like I said, like it's 50-50. That's how I am with it. Like it's a good idea, but I think it would be better if it was like a personalized one-on-one thing rather than it's I'm going to teach you how to play, like say Metallica teaching you how to play Enter Sandman or rather than like if it was a one-to-one thing where it was like, okay, what are you having problems with?
Yeah, well, I imagine that would cost loads.
I can teach you that.
In terms of like to make a viable way for both streaming sites to make money and for bands to make money, you'd have to have large numbers. So like I know it's going to be like 200 people. So is probably what we reckon it's going to be like learning guitar off Metallica. You're going to have 200 people on a Zoom. What do you think of that? If it was a live lesson, let's take it as a live lesson that there's going to be Q&A at the end and you have to prior to submit your questions.
Like that's what I mean. Like it's just going to be here's Enter Sandman, here's Master Puppets, here's whatever. Like it's not going to actually teach you any techniques. It's just going to teach you how to play that particular song, which you can already learn.
But like, let's say he wasn't a particular song, but he talks about how to get good at a riff or how to get really good at like shredding or how to get good.
Like that's easy, just practice.
Well, like you might have a few like kind of drills he practices. There might be like a lesson that he does in order to teach his fingers or something like that. There might be some kind of quirk to it. This is coming from a person who doesn't know how to play guitar. Imagine that was a big takeaway. Like, imagine like you could do this near the end, like photographer, artist, you name the thing, and they come down and it's like, oh, well, all you need to do is just practice, and then you're like, yeah, see you. That was it. It was just like, just practice,
that
kids.
That is a big takeaway. Like, to a certain extent, things like this are kind of scamish.
It isn't. Like, you can definitely, like, people always say, if you want to get better at something, just keep showing up, or just keep doing it. And eventually, okay, you will get better at something if you just keep showing up or keep doing it. But you also waste a lot of time. Whereas if someone teaches you the structure, how to get better over time, you'll get better faster.
I mean. If it was okay, so like I know Metallica have signed up for it. So like if the Metallica class is actually going to be something that Metallica do that's extremely fucking difficult is James Hetfield's rhythm guitar playing. Like his down picking is just fucking crazy. So if the Metallica lesson is going to be him slowly breaking down how to get better at down picking or how he approaches it or whatever, that's fine. But if it's going to be Metallica just going, here's how you play
Enter Sandman, yeah. No, like if it was like, okay, we're going to teach you one or the intro to one, and that's just like that was it. It was just kind of like, yeah, it would be kind of shit. I remember, like, you remember when Green Day were doing Green Day in the musical? It was like American Idiot musical or something like that. They're doing a musical.
Yeah.
And they weren't playing, obviously, in the play. Like, it was different musicians. But the man was like, obviously a professional musician and was playing one of the songs. And he's like, no. He's kept critiquing on him on the small mistakes he's playing. It sounds like American Idiot to the novice ear, but he was picking up very small details that he was doing wrong. He was like, no, this is actually, should do this into this. It was very, like, minor details. But, like...
Yeah, like, We Will Rock You, the Queen musical, they did the same. Like, the guy playing guitar for that was actually Meatloaf's guitarist. He used to be in Anthrax.
Yeah.
And Brian May, he was like, I want to get proper. So, like, Brian May came and, like, taught him all the little kind of personal things that Brian May does that other guitar players don't do. Like, Brian May doesn't use a guitar pick. He uses a fucking coin to play guitar with.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Like, he went and he taught him all these different things about how to get the tone right and how to get, like, the phrasing and the different songs right. And, like, if it was something like that, that's cool. But if it's literally, like I said, if it's going to be something that's...
Here, kids, here's Ender Sandman, here's Iron Man. Dun, dun.
Yeah, like, it's going to be something that, like, any random guitar teacher can teach you.
Best is, like, Deep Purple. So, kids, we're going to teach you smoking the water.
Smoking the water?
Smoking the water? We're going to teach you smoking the water. Then... Yeah, that would be like a disappointing. But like, hopefully, let's say it is every childhood's dream come true, and you pick up like good details and all that. Yeah, so we better move on, because we're running out of time and we're running out of stories. We'll talk about bad tattoos.
Yeah. Of which there are many.
Yeah, there are many. So this kind of came from, I think, one of my friends said to me, like, in terms, I had a few conversations with people. One of my friends wanted to get a tattoo of a shield on Captain America, but he hasn't put any top. He wants to create a tattoo. And then another one of my friend was referring to tramp stamps or very popular tattoos. So we're going to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly on tattoos. I was on a night out and my friends were like, he wants to get like this Captain America shield. And he was asking me like, oh, where do you get your ideas that you're going to be happy with this? Like, this is the tattoo for me. Like, before you go in, like, how do you not have doubt? And it's like, me and my friend is quite... Well, we have a lot of tattoos. I wouldn't say I have a lot of tattoos, but I have a few tattoos. And they're like, you don't really know. It's kind of like you sit down there and take a chance and you hope you like it. But like, you should put a little bit of like thought into what you want. And he's like, because he's saying that he wants the shield.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you just get a shield? Like, first of all, you're not American. Why are you getting a Captain America? He goes, I just like it. And I was like, trying to give him some ideas, like to have it up against like a wall. And then you see like maybe a mask on a bench beside it or something like that, and you can see a shadow. There's like maybe the floor is made of wood, and so you got a bit of detail like that. And he's like, maybe. And he's just seen like, no, I'm just gonna get a shield. And it's like, all right, well, you could do like have, because he's in football, so you could get like a Captain America shield, but instead of it being just a Captain America shield, you could have the crest of like a Liverpool crest kind of worked into it or something like that. And he's like, no. It's like, well, okay, then just get your shield then. And he's like, he's talking about like black and white tattoos.
Yeah.
And he showed me this Yoda, and it was the worst Yoda I've ever seen. It was like, I think maybe his friend got it. And I was like, he goes, what do you think of that? And I was like, it's shit. It's just like awful. And so trying to show him like what good black and white looks like.
Yeah.
Compared to what that shit is. I was like, you shouldn't. That's not a great tattoo. He's like, what do you think about this? I was like, that's shit. And he showed my friend, and my friend's like, yeah, that's awful. So I was like,
people are always saying the same thing to me. They're always like, how do you know that you're not going to turn around and say, oh, I hate that now? Now, I will admit to people that my favorite tattoos that I have are the ones that I don't see that often.
Yeah, well,
but it's not because I hate my tattoos or I don't like my tattoos anymore. It's because I'm used to seeing them ones. I forget about the other ones.
Oh yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from that. Because every now and again, I'll look and go, oh yeah, there's Supergirl. I'll never see her. She's at the back of the arm.
Yeah, like, and then people are like, but like, how do you know that you're, when you're 90, you're going to like still give a shit about it or still want?
My thought is like, why would you live to when you're 90? Why would you do everything to the point where when you're 90 you can go, well, at least I don't have tattoos. I'm pretty sure I won't give a fuck when I'm 90. I am 90. I have lived a good life. I am still here.
Somebody said to me before, your tattoos are going to look shit when you're old. And I was like, but everybody's going to look shit when they're old.
Everything about you is going to look shit when you're old.
Like, when you're old, you've got, like, a person with no tattoos is going to be flabby anyway. So, like, you may as well be flabby and colourful.
Yeah, I never bought that argument of like, oh, when you're older. People used to say when you're 30 you mightn't be into comic books, and I'm like,
yeah, how wrong were they?
Yeah, but I was just thinking, because even Gus was talking about tattoos, and I think he was saying he knows a person who got a hand tattoo. He doesn't have any sleeves though, and he said he's kind of saying that hand tattoos are coming like tribal tattoos of our generation.
Yeah, every fucking agent has them.
Yeah, like probably early 90s, everyone has wanted a dragon tattoo or wanted like some Japanese artwork, and that was if
Irish tattoo.
Like, I hate Celtic crosses. Like, I
really, really, really fucking hate tribal, and I think the reason I hate tribal tattoos is because when I started getting tattooed, obviously you're spending a lot of time with your tattoo artist, like getting a fucking full sleeve. He really, really hated tribal tattoos, and he just said they're boring. Like, he doesn't even plan them. Somebody comes in for a tribal tattoo, he doesn't even plan what he's doing. He just fucking draws squiggles with a Sharpie and tattoos it.
Like, there are some. It's not tribal tattoos. There's just like, something like what The Rock has on his.
Yeah, kind of like Maori kind of thing.
Yeah, I like the Maori, and like I could even get behind a really similar kind of Celtic design like that, and I could get behind that. But anyone who has a Celtic cross on their arm or a Fighting Irish tattoo on their arm, I just think, oh, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just. Is there any tattoos you were going to get that you regret, or you're kind of glad that you didn't get?
No. Like, I always kind of wanted. I haven't got it yet, but I always said I wanted to get Mr. Tato.
Mr. Tato, where you get Mr. Tato?
I want to get Mr. Tato on my leg.
On your leg? Oh, I'd get it on an almost funny place, like your bum.
Like, you see, I've already said. I decided ages ago when I started getting tattoos that like my legs are going to be where I put things that are like kind of silly.
All right.
Yeah. Like, so any silly ideas I have are going on my legs, and because I don't wear shorts, so like
I wanted to get like a robot on my ribs. Then it's the pain. It's like I couldn't go through it.
Yeah, the pain of ribs is supposed to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
My friend got his stomach done. He said it was horrible. It was like the worst thing he's ever done.
Yeah, when I was younger, I really wanted to get a praying hand with rosary beads. And like,
oh, man.
Yeah, I know.
You're giving out about Celtic crosses.
I know. I'm so glad I never went through it. Like, because that is is one of those tattoos.
That is definitely one of those tattoos. What were you thinking?
I don't know. It's just like...
That's the Dublin coming out on you.
Yeah, I wasn't even that religious. I think that's what put me off. It's like, I'm not that religious. Why would I do this? But I was going to get that, and then like a rose. Like, it was so like hypocritical. I think people who get hand tattoos are silly.
Yeah, like when I start getting tattooed, tattoo artists wouldn't do hand tattoos unless you were fairly covered in tattoos.
Yeah, even like my friend got a neck tattoo, and he knows the tattoo artist. Like, they were pretty good friends, and she was like, "Are you sure you want to get this? Because you will be discriminated with a neck tattoo." Lucky enough, he wasn't, but like she did warn him. She's like, "You're crossing a line here." Even though tattoos are accepted nowadays, neck tattoos aren't. Neck tattoos, facial tattoos, and hand tattoos. You're gonna limit your job opportunities by getting these.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But like, I think he works as a personal trainer, so like he having tattoos in that industry isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, people don't mind it. People who go to the gym generally are open-minded about tattoos or have tattoos.
Yeah, like I know a guy who got he has both his hands tattooed, and he has a full body like Japanese suit,
Yeah.
and he's currently getting it blacked out for, I don't know, whatever reason, but whatever, he's getting blacked out. But before he got his hands done, and he knew the tattoo artist fairly well, like hands were the last part of the suit he did, and the tattoo artist said to him, "Are you working in a job? Are you happy in that job? Are you going to stay there for a while?" And he was like, "Yeah, like he works in a bank. He doesn't have to deal with customers. Like he just works on the phone. Like, but he's like, yeah, no, like I'm going to stay there for a bit. Like,
Yeah,
like, that's how seriously they took it. They were like, you sure that you're not going to leave your job in the next like 40 years?"
Yeah, because like I remember when my sister started working, she worked in Coca-Cola, and she had like a little tribal tattoo on her foot, and she had to keep that covered up. And I think she had a piercing in her mouth and her tongue. She had to take it out. If she was like dealing with any kind of customers, so it was like weird things.
Yeah, I had to keep my tattoos covered in work.
Yeah, and like even
it's only fairly recently that I, like the last maybe 2 or 3 years, that it's actually okay to.
Yeah, like when I first started working for my dad, like he said he would never employ a person with a tattoo. Now, shortly after he said that, he employed a guy.
He employed you.
well, I didn't have a tattoo at that stage. Well, he employed a
Oh.
guy with 2 sleeves, which back then, like if a person had 2 sleeves, you're like just staring at their arms, like, oh, Jesus. Like it was very rare to have 2 sleeves back then. But like,
Yeah, like, I remember even as a kid, I said to my ma, I was like, there was a guy kind of that lived near us that he was covered in tattoos, and I said to my ma, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have like loads of tattoos when I grow up." My ma was like, "No, they make you dirty."
yeah, my mom. That's my mom said as well. She said they look dirty. You look like you're dirty. But then when I first started getting tattoos, she was like, she was really into it. She was like, "Oh, they look very good."
Yeah, like my ma doesn't care anymore. Like if I went home now and I said, "Oh, I'm after getting a tattoo on my face," my ma would be like, "All right."
I don't agree with face tattoos. Another thing, like I think hand tattoos and face tattoos maybe are the tramp stamps of our generation, because I see a lot of people get face tattoos.
Like I don't think I'd go with face tattoo, but I would do hands and neck.
I agree.
I kind of want to do my head.
Oh, the side of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can kind of get behind that if you're heavily tattooed. If someone came out with like their first tattoo was like a rose in their head, I go.
Oh yeah, like definitely these are things that you have to have like thought about and put a lot of fucking effort into. Like don't go fucking tattooing your head if it's your first tattoo. Don't tattoo your face if it's your first tattoo.
Do you know anybody with relationship tattoos? Do you have a relationship tattoo? Actually, we've talked about this before.
I don't really have a relationship tattoo. I got a tattoo.
He's got a tattoo. Good.
Yeah, like we got tattooed at the same time because she wanted the tattoo and he didn't. She wasn't going to do it if I was just going to be sitting around for an hour. So I was like, "Sure, I'll get a tattoo as well."
Yeah, my friend has 2 relationship tattoos from 2 different girls. So,
but like they're not matching. Like they're not each other's names.
One was like one was like an Egyptian thing, and it was like a cockroach holding a lock, and it's like split in half when you put their arms together. It was like it joined up, and I was like, "Ah, where is she now?" And the other one was like a pink and yellow bird of some sort.
Pink and yellow bird.
Yeah, well, he has a blue one, pink, and she's a pink one, and it's the same bird. They're just the same tattoo that they both have. So you have like same tattoo, just from different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I just think they're stupid.
Yeah, like I don't agree with getting, like my cousin got his girlfriend at the time's name.
Oh.
Right, so he got like, I think it was like a Cupid He's holding a scroll, and it was her
See,
name.
there's
Then
nothing.
they broke up, and then he got blacked out. Then they got back together. Then he got it done
Oh,
again.
there's nothing creative about that. There's like, it basically just wrote someone's name on yourself and just hoped. Like whatever about the cockroach thing, at least there's a little bit of creativity in that. Like, at least it's somewhat unique. When I was getting my sleeve done, there's a guy getting his kid's date of birth and his handprint. So he got like an imprint of the kid's handprint. And he's getting the date of birth of when he's born. And he got the wrong date of birth.
Oh, idiot.
Yeah. Now, lucky enough, I think they were able to fix it for him. He came back in the same day and they're like, here, look, we're just going to put a cross through the zeros. So it looks like a style of how to do the zeros, and we're going to do this. And they're able to fix it. I don't know if it was like 2010 he said it, and I think it maybe been in 2011 that he needed it again or something like that.
Idiot.
Yeah.
I worked with a guy who got he thought he was deadly, like, because he was a store manager, and he got he had a few tattoos, but all his tattoos he just went in and he picked out of a book.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, like, they all have deep meaning. I was like, what fucking deep meaning can I have? You walked into a tattoo place and got that out of a fucking book.
Oh yeah, but like some tattoos are symbolized. Like they're like a phoenix, like new beginnings, like a koi.
Yeah, but would you not
fish.
design your own?
No, but
or
like
get the tattoo artist to design one for you, rather than picking one out of a book that 75 other people have.
But like the idea, you just want a nice piece of art that is a symbol on it. Like there's probably a person with very similar tattoo to everybody. So many people are tattooed. I don't mind to pick out a book tattoo people. I hate people asking you what's the meaning behind your tattoos. I really hate that. I hate the idea that you have to have a douchebag reason for a tattoo. I like tattoos. Doesn't it look good?
Yeah, like, what's the reason behind your tattoo? None of your business, for a start.
I hate hearing people's reasons behind their tattoo.
Yeah, like,
unless it's a really good story. Like if there's something deep, but like, you know, when people go, "Oh, this is about strength," or some fucking Facebook kind of quote, shite. It's nothing to do with that. It's like if it's like something like, if, let's say a parent died and something both of them shared, and they got some kind of skewer kind of reference to that only the two of them would know. I get that. I go, oh, that's cool. That's a really nice story.
but even if it's this thing, like, I don't know, your tattoos are for you, they're not for other people. So like,
well, if someone asks you your tattoo, or goes like, oh, or I got this tattoo and this is what it means, you go, oh, that's a nice story. But someone goes like, here's my tattoo and it's about like being brave or something like that. It's like, okay.
Like, I hate people asking what's the purpose of your tattoo, or people that like come up, and I don't know if this ever happens to you. People come up and like just assume that it's okay to grab your arm and start looking at your tattoos.
No, a person did in the bathroom before, and my tattoo was pretty fresh at the time. It was like, I think it just after it started healed. Thank God it was healed, because like before it was just an open wound. But I was in the bathroom and I was just about to start washing my hands. A guy grabbed my arm, licked his hand, and rubbed my arm as if it was.
Oh, that happened to me before.
As if it would rub off.
Exact same thing happened to me before. And I was like, man,
wrong with people?
Fuck off away from me. Like, why are you touching me? By any chance did this happen in time?
No. No, it did happen in an ace though. It wasn't an ace, so it could have been the same guy.
Mine happened this cunt in time.
Yeah.
I was just sitting at a table. Like, I was just literally sitting there. And this cunt comes up and he grabs my arm and he licks his fucking hand and he starts to rub my arm, and I get the fuck off me.
Oh my god. That is so bad. Like, it's like, whoever about, like, it's disgusting someone does that in a bar. If, like, the fact that I was in a bathroom, he hadn't washed his hands. And he goes, I was like, oh. I think my next might be, I don't know if mine was either Nace or Blessington. It's one of those two.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Like, fucking fuck off.
Yeah. And I think we'll leave it there for that part of the show, Ken.
Yeah.
Another shite-filled show, as always. We had everything. We had people being screwed, people being tattooed, and we've had... I think we had pretty much... We've a lot of talk about laws. Who knew the show was going to go the way it did, and it did.
It was a very legal show.
Yeah, it really was. We'll be back next week with maybe not as legal, but probably as factual, meaning there wasn't any facts in the show. Once again, we'll be back next week. Talk to you then.
Good luck.